Welcome back to another episode of Wrist Check Podcast. The gang is back together again. And this time it's just us, fellas.
I think it's the first time all season, though.
Not the first, the second.
Sure.
But we've
It all blends into one.
Yeah, it kind of all rubs together. We got three things on the three items on the agenda this evening. And this episode's Wrist Check should kick us right into it. So
yes.
As is tradition, we'll start with the man who never repeats a watch. What do you got on this evening?
So I am wearing a new watch.
Okay.
Finally.
This watch is very, very special, as they all are.
Sure.
A watch that we will be sharing our opinion about very soon. I am wearing the Formex Essence 39.
Nice.
Sector dial. I have the gray slatish dial. Super, super clean watch. Definitely punches well above his weight. I love the red tip on the seconds hand. Of course, that signature case from Formex that has that bit of suspension there. And then I love how the bracelet just plays with the light where you do a nice little wrist roll.
Yeah. Ben, what do you got on the wrist tonight?
No surprise. I, too, am wearing Formex Essence 39 Worn Wound collab. But a bit of a surprise is I actually picked the one with the blue dial.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that you hand selected that piece.
Yeah, I wanted dibs on the one with the blue dial. I think it's the most handsome of the three. I love the contrast, the red quadrant in the middle, red seconds hand. It also hits white at the top, so you have contrast. You can actually see it sweep. But what really did it for me was red date. The red date windows really what got me.
Feels very Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Toronto Blue Jays.
A little bit. Yeah. So as if you're watching or listening, you've guessed by now, we're all wearing Formex.
Yes.
I too am wearing the Formex. This is called the Sector 39. So this is a trio that was a collaborative effort with our friends over at Worn Wound and Formex. For those that don't know, Formex is a Swiss watchmaking company. I believe they're family owned. The Essence 39 is sort of like, it's their hero model.
Yes.
This is their flagship watch. We've been wearing it for the better part of a week, kind of like field testing it. I got to be honest, I'm a fan. The Essence 39 is not new to us.
Yes.
We actually did a review of this watch before, but this was the Atlanta Watch Society collaboration with the Eisenkiesel dial.
Which is crazy to think about.
So what's interesting about this piece is, if you're familiar with this model, the bracelet and case, the same, right? But the Worn Wound, kind of known for doing funky colors. That's kind of like their thing when they do a lot of these collaborations.
Yes.
This one was born out of the idea of sort of like a divergent history. And what you get is this sort of like retro sci-fi kind of like dial. It's got this elegant sector dial, but fused with the case with the suspension on the Essence 39, it kind of feels like something out of like Space Odyssey 2001.
Yes.
This is a watch that I kind of picture that like when I'm thinking of like the 70s or the 80s, I'm thinking of like sci-fi flicks, someone going into space. This is a model that I kind of like. I could picture them kind of wearing this thing.
Yeah.
It's got a Salida movement, SW201. Which is COSC certified. So -4 + 6 seconds a day.
I love the smiley face chronometer tag on the dial too.
Yeah, that is a nice touch. I think what's also nice too is on the seconds hand, it's got like this like counterweight kind of thing going on the other side with the
It's like a baton at the end.
A little bit, yeah. It's kind of tight. I also like the inside of the dial and how like it kind of goes up on the walls of the inside of the bezel.
Yes.
That's a really, really nice touch. Other things worth mentioning, the movement inside the watch is kind of decorative,
Yes.
more than what you would expect from a Salida movement.
Yes.
Heated blue screws. You got some perlaging. What's your guys' feedback after wearing this for a week?
I love this watch. I think it's great. Especially being a fan of the brand. We're very familiar with Formex, and you know, the pieces that we've seen, of course, we know that they play with like Eisenkiesel and malachite and pretty interesting stones for a very approachable price point.
Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned that too. So this watch retails at, I think it's just under $1,600. It's like $1,590.
Yes.
It is a limited edition.
Mm-hmm.
150 units total.
Yes.
50 units per color. The dial I'm wearing is the white sector dial.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, man. I actually got to attend the release party that they did at the Worn Wound offices,
Mm-hmm.
and was pleasantly surprised when they released this piece. The only thing I wish it had was some lume.
Yes.
I feel like if imagine if it had it like on the sector dial, like it's like almost like a FP Joint Elegant, like the dot that would like take it to the next level. But
Yes.
all in all, a pretty solid piece.
Yeah.
Something I would definitely, super weekend warrior,
Yeah.
everyday wear. Ben, what were your thoughts?
So I got some beef with this watch.
Oh man, okay.
So aesthetically, the watch is very pleasing.
It is. It's
The
really nice.
bracelet looks pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
The case looks amazing. The dial's the best part.
The dial is awesome.
So my beef, to add to your point, is no lume,
Sure.
no screw down crown.
But in all fairness,
Sure,
100 meters water resistancy.
the crown should screw down.
It would be nice if it had that. I think,
Out
just
of habit,
in terms of
I
like,
put this watch on
out of
and
a
I
habit, yeah.
constantly, I'm like pushing it. I'm like, oh, and you would think you wouldn't do that, but if you're so used to setting a watch that has a screw down crown,
sure.
or just fidgeting with one, maybe you're at a desk, you're watching a video, you just start playing with your watch, you tend to do that.
Yep.
Yes.
And I don't find it to be that comfortable on the bracelet.
So they often do strap options
Yeah, so
with their watches too.
I was gonna say, at Wind Up this past year, I actually tried one of these on the strap, both leather and rubber, and I didn't have the problem that I'm having with the bracelet, where it's that I don't have the hairiest arms on the planet, and I
Sure.
get hair caught in it. The other thing too is that the suspension case is very innovative. It definitely feels comfortable when it works.
Yeah.
But when it's not working, it's still pinching hair.
Mm.
Now, I didn't have that problem on the strap.
Okay.
And the one that I tried on the strap was a 42. So I'm almost curious if, because the case is bigger in that model, that it's not suspending high enough to actually catch hair. Or maybe the bracelet is just is too snug on my wrist.
Okay.
That could be the thing. It definitely could be just how I prefer to wear my watches doesn't work. Maybe I gotta put a link back in this or leave the extension out. But that's something to consider when you're trying this on the bracelet, if you like to wear your watches snug like I do.
Yeah.
But like I said, on the strap, didn't have that problem. I think if I was to own this watch, I would go for the leather strap.
Yeah.
But it's an aesthetically amazing watch.
Yeah. I think Worn Wound did an excellent job with the dial.
Yeah.
The cool thing about the Formex Essence 39 is that they typically do offer straps with it. So just in terms of the watch itself, it is a bit of a strap monster.
Yeah.
You can kind of get a little funky with it and have some fun with the dial colors. But all in all, I say good job, Worn Wound. You can find, please.
I think if anyone has $1,600 and they want to get something out of the ordinary, 100% they should give this watch a try.
Yeah, no, it's tight. It's tight. So shout out to our guys there. You can find this at the windupwatchshop.com. Just under $1,600. I say it's a buy.
Yeah, I say so too.
And hopefully they'll let us hold on to these a little bit longer. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I've been wearing it every day this week. And I like wearing it.
This thing is tight, man. All right. Moving along. So this week was pretty interesting.
Oh, entertaining and interesting?
Definitely entertaining.
Yes.
Obviously, we did get the novelties released from AP, which there are some amazing pieces there. But there was some other news that or entertaining stuff that happened this week in the world of Audemars.
Audemars.
So unless you've been living under a rock, you know that Rick Ross has gotten himself into a bit of a squabble with Nico.
They got real beef.
It looks like it. So there was a Rick Ross did a Forbes sort of like profile, and they've been doing a lot of these now. And he showed off some of his cars. They talked to him about like his career, and then they got into watches.
Yes.
And so he ended up showing this beautiful 41 millimeter Audemars Piguet Royal Oak with green sapphires.
Yes.
All throughout the watch. Now, when I saw this, I thought it was interesting. I said, wow, okay, he got his hands on this piece. Fire. Yeah. Said it was worth $3.2 million.
Yes.
In one way or the other, it is.
In one way or the other, sure. And then so Nico, and you might know Nico. He is a watch collector. Also has his own show on YouTube and various other platforms where he reviews watches. And he calls people out when they wear fake timepieces.
Mm-hmm.
So Nico comes out and says,
Ross, bro, I just made a video about your insane green AP. Unfortunately, it's fake. Why are you flaunting fake watches? There's only one of these watches in the world in 41 mil. And there's another one in 37. There's more coming in the future, but because of the complexity and the difficulty to find these stones, there's currently only one in the world. Can you explain me this, Rick Ross? Why is there a photo here with my name, Nico Leonard, and the photo of that exact watch? That's the real deal? And you have a fake. The real owner sent me this photo, and you have a fake watch. Why are you flaunting and saying that that watch is worth 3.25 million, man?
Is a Fugazi.
Yeah.
You got him with the foof.
Got him with the foof. I didn't expect Rick Ross to respond.
Oh, I definitely did.
You did?
Yeah. And the only reason why is, well, I mean, I'm a big ass Rick Ross fan.
I love Rick Ross.
I was hoping he did, but I expected him to respond because Nico has such a big following.
He really does.
He wasn't going to let that slide.
No. So Rick Ross responded almost immediately, maybe just a couple of days later.
Yeah.
And for the little fat guy in the one cubicle office speaking on watches, speaking on Rick Ross and his Audemars. It's unbelievable, isn't it, fat guy, little piglet? Oh, those emeralds are so rare. Hey, little piglet. Hey, huh? Come on, piglet. A motherfucker in a cubicle could say, hey, Rick, the Phantom's not real. Rick, that was stolen. Shut the fuck up, piglet. Hee haw.
Calling Nico Piglet.
But then did a hee-haw. You don't let it slide because it was funny, but
Yeah.
it was the wrong sound effect.
But he didn't address the situation.
Yeah.
Do you think that he knew this watch was inauthentic?
I think he may have just gotten sold. Whatever jeweler he got it from just really was like, yo, this, that, and the third about this AP. Yo, look at it. These crazy suitcases. We got the green joint.
Yeah.
This how much they going for.
Yeah.
And you know, he fell in love with it with his new Audemars, and he copped. I think that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but I do think, sorry I cut you off.
No,
but
please.
I do think he may have done some educated research after the Nico video. And I think that's why he didn't say nothing about the watch specifically.
I also seen he hasn't worn the watch since.
Yes.
Yes.
So here's the thing. We talk about bust downs occasionally, and I don't doubt that the watch is an authentic Audemars Piguet watch.
Yes.
I don't even doubt that the sapphires or the green emeralds, whichever they are also real stones.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is, and this is something that's always constantly up for debate, is that, you know, it wasn't done at the Audemars Piguet factory.
Yes.
And so therefore it's inauthentic.
Yeah.
My personal opinion, I think it would have been cool if Ross came out and said, "No, I know this isn't that, but I'm a fan of that watch.
Yes. Yeah.
So I asked my jeweler to customize my AP and make that watch."
Yes.
I almost have no problem with that.
I don't either. But so Nico posted a video where he kept talking about the watch specifically after Ross responded. After he posted his little video in the Rolls Royce. And it was funny because someone who we also had beef with was Trax. And he Trax.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, like, let's really look at this watch. Like, this case, this bracelet was not made by AP.
No.
He said the only thing that's probably real on this watch is the movement.
Mm.
So at that point, Rick Ross might have just got.
Yeah.
He like I said, he got sold on it.
Listen, it can happen to the best of them.
Yeah, I mean, it happened to Lil Baby, and you know, they did him right.
Yeah.
Icebox did him right. It's just how does Ross recover from? I don't want to say the embarrassment. I don't think he's embarrassed.
I don't think he has anything to be embarrassed about.
I don't think so either. I just think, you know, like, is he gonna get his bread back for this watch?
Definitely.
Is he gonna get something else? Like what? Like what's going on?
Yeah.
But then how does he address that?
Yeah.
Is there a truce to be called? Who knows? Do they do a joint video? Does Nico FaceTime
I would love
Rose
that.
next? Because that
I would
be
love that.
fire.
I think the coolest thing too is that Nico Leonard is kind of attacking Rick Ross in the same art as how Ross would in the hip hop world.
There is an element to it that is very hip hop.
It reminds me of his of DJ Envious comments.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
and so for so many people that aren't familiar with the culture of watches, they may think that Nico Leonard is just this guy coming out of nowhere with no credibility to talk to Ross in this kind of manner.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's easy to get caught up in that until you think to take a few steps back to say, actually, you know what? Ross trolls how many other artists?
All the time.
How many other artists troll others and things like this? So this is actually a sport.
Yeah.
And
It's fun. It's fun for us to watch.
It's fun for everyone to watch. I think that is really, really cool to see, you know, Nico Leonard kind of stand his ground on this.
Sure.
He's not letting up. I think he's put out, maybe about 4 or 5 videos.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like just going at him.
Yeah.
And, you know, to your point, Ben, you know, Ross hasn't addressed the watch. I think there's some people now in this corner like putting him on game.
I hope so. And I think that's the biggest thing to take from all this is that, you know, at some point, everybody learns their lesson, right? No one's exempt. And as much of a enthusiast or fan of watches that, you know, Ross may be, I think, you know, and I hope that there's a valuable lesson here that he's learned, and I'm sure he has, just in terms of, you know, why factory is seen as king. Nothing wrong with customization.
Yes.
But if the person who dealt him this watch was positioning it as like, hey, this is one of those.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where you'll very quickly find out that like, hey, that's not exactly the case.
Yes.
Like that is a piece unique.
That's definitely something that watch collectors, the guy who owns it, and Ross for himself after he found out what he found out should definitely have beef with, because you're trying to recreate a 1 of 1,
Right.
or technically a 1 of 2 because the watch comes in a 37 also.
Yeah.
It just means you have a fake watch.
Right.
So I think, like you guys were saying, now that he hopefully has people in his corner that educating him, I think there will be some more fun, entertaining videos to come.
Sure.
Hopefully with the two of them together. The one thing I have to say about Nico that I personally didn't think was fair was when he came at like Ross's old videos talking about the watches that he had.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I mean, like being a rapper, musician,
Sure.
especially the culture that we in, where he's from, that's just what they do.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
But he got stuff now that's factory stuff that's good. Stuff
absolutely.
That is very expensive, and the average Joe or even a millionaire can't really get because they don't have the type of access that he does.
Right.
So I think attacking the early stuff, the bust down Cartiers and all that. I mean, when you in the industry, you got to have one.
No, fact.
It's like a rite of passage, but he's come a long way from that. So
He really has. You know, there was one other thing that I did consider, and I was like, however unlikely, we know how serious AP is about selling their watches.
Yes.
So I thought to myself, what if the guy that purchased the set actually ended up selling it? Then it winds up, maybe he doesn't even know who it went to.
Yes.
Winds up in, I think it was the Robb Report, not Forbes. Winds up in the Robb Report. He goes, oh shit.
Yeah. Somebody do something quick.
Nico has a relationship with Ross, knows the guy, and is like, we got you.
Yes.
Don't worry.
Watch
We're
Conspiracy.
going to fabricate
Yeah, right?
this whole thing.
Yes.
It's going to go viral.
Yes.
He's going to call me Piglet. He's going to, Audemars. I'm going to shoot, video in the back of my Maybach drinking champagne. We're going to have a ball with this.
Yes.
But we're going to protect our guy and we're going to protect Ross.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, what if that was the case?
This is some Joe Rogan level conspiracy talk right here. That'd be fire though. That was really
Well,
bad.
the thing is this too, to think about it, Ross was very comfortable to share this watch and to say that it was $3 million. Like, I don't think anyone in their right mind would flex like that with that level of the publication to go publicly, because they also did the interview, like he was sitting on his Clearport, he's got his jet in the back, he's like, I'm mega rich, I'm this, I'm that, and then credibility goes out the window because of this kind of like
the Piglet.
because of Piglet.
But at the same time, what if Ross is that thorough? And he's like, I got it. Don't worry. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Wow.
He's the biggest boss. He might be that thorough.
He might
Yo,
be.
Ross, come on the couch. Please.
I'm saying.
We love you.
Yeah.
I'm your biggest fan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Audemars.
My Audemars.
All right. So moving along. That was fun. We had a special release that happened a few days ago. I believe it was on the 11th. And this is something that was, we had seen a couple of prototypes behind the scenes, and this was something that was very special because we know a couple of people involved.
Yes.
But Fleming
Yes.
just unveiled their first watch,
Series 1.
the Series 1. So for those that don't know, this is a watch that was in the works, named after the gentleman Thomas Fleming, and a friend of the pod, James Kong, who you may or may not know his Instagram waitlisted, who's an amazing watch photographer.
Yes.
Was also a corporate lawyer, but an amazing watch collector with amazing taste. And they sought out to deliver their very own timepiece. There are 3 iterations, right? There's a rose gold,
Yep.
there's a platinum,
Yep.
and there's a tantalum.
Yes.
Yeah. 25 tantalum.
Yes.
9 platinum. 7 rose.
So super limited. 38.5 millimeter case diameter, 9 millimeters thick, 46.5 lug to lug. They went all out. The movement is it's called the FM01, developed by Jean-Francois Mojon. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
In Spanish, it's Mojon. If you
Mojon?
speak Spanish, you'll get a chuckle out of that.
Gotcha. But apparently he's like a legendary movement maker. He's done, I think he did the LM01
Yep.
for MBNF, worked on the LM02 with Kari Voutilainen.
Yeah, that movement has both their signatures on the back. It's pretty good.
Crazy.
Yeah.
In addition to that, the dials. Before I get into the dials, did you have like a favorite iteration of this piece?
I actually like the platinum the nicest.
Okay.
I just think the
Then the
play on-
platinum one is with the guilloche dial.
Yeah, it's like orange and red.
Yeah.
Obviously red's in there, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little biased, but I actually think aesthetically it's the coolest of the 3. It's like the most out there, which
Yeah.
you don't expect from a watch on a strap. It's supposed to be what most people consider dressy.
Mm.
Aside from that, I mean, I think it's cool, but
Yeah.
I wasn't super emotional crazy over it.
Sure.
To be fair, I haven't seen one in person. I haven't tried one on. But
I
from
was
the
thinking that
photos-
too.
From the photos, it's a really nice watch.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
I actually happen to like the tantalum.
Yes.
It's got the aventurine dial.
Yeah, it's with a
that
mix
was
of
good.
frosted platinum.
And it's got frost.
That's cool.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I've never heard of anybody using frosted platinum.
And I think it's interesting that that's the piece that they made the most units in.
Yeah.
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 Well, the coolest thing too, to that point is, if you've noticed stone dials or any kind of like precious dials of like any sorts has been the thing
Sure.
of like the tail end of last year and this year. Previously it was like green dials and
Yeah.
turquoise dials and all those kind of things. So I thought that it was very appropriate to do an aventurine dial, but then to add that platinum element to it was really, really cool. To have the tantalum case, which tantalum, of course, we know is not easy to manipulate.
Not at all. Yeah.
And then, just the provenance and the story behind it. You have two unconventional gentlemen to come together to create a watch.
Right.
Excuse me. Especially these influences coming in, Thomas deciding that he wants to make watches during the pandemic or like, post-pandemic.
Yeah, what a time to decide that like you're going to enter in the industry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The same goes for James deciding that he wants to, take a step back from his profession to go into a passion,
Yeah.
and then go from photography to now watchmaking, and then, we don't know,
Yeah, you
what's
gotta give
next.
A lot of respect to them for hustling.
Very,
Absolutely.
very, very, very
I think
respected.
the coolest part of the watch too is the power reserve and the movement.
Yeah. So it has a power
7
reserve in the
day
back.
power
7-day power reserve.
Power reserve.
Yes.
The interesting thing for me too was, and I did see an early prototype, but we knew that these guys are working on this well before.
Yes.
And, James is someone whom we know personally, and we know what James's collection is. He is by far he's one of the best collectors I know,
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially on the indie side too.
especially on the indie
That's what
side.
counts.
Yes.
And I was interested to see, okay, what are these guys gonna bring and gonna deliver? And what I found most interesting was I thought maybe perhaps, and I never took James and even maybe, Fleming to be really big fans of Kari Voutilainen because it has a lot of his DNA impressed on the watch.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like from the dial is actually made in a factory that he owns.
Yeah. The lugs case.
The case, like everything, it kind of like there's a shared spirit between some of the work that we've seen from Voutilainen and what they're pursuing.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shout out to those guys. I can't wait to see the watches in person.
Yeah, those gotta be the next 3 watches we review.
We gotta have James on the show.
Been begging James to come on the show.
Yeah, we've been talking to him for a minute.
Yes.
So I
I think since we started.
yeah.
Yes.
And he's agreed to do it. I think
Yes.
we just got to figure that out.
It's really cool too, and I love to dive into it, preemptively talking about it. But there was a point in time when I would talk to him, and he's like, "I'm better like behind the camera than in front of the camera."
Well, I think he's got something to talk about now on camera.
Yes,
so
he does.
We'll have to have him on, and maybe we can get a up close look at the some of these pieces. I especially would love to see the tantalum.
Yes.
Last but not least, going back to the AP release.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did you guys feel about it?
So, I'll say this. I didn't when I first saw that everyone was just talking about one watch. They were talking about the John Mayer.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a piece of shit. But go ahead.
They were talking about the John Mayer.
Yes.
And when I saw it, listen, it's a nice watch. I like it. It's great.
Yes.
I was disappointed a little
Yeah,
bit.
totally.
Yes.
Creative conduit for what?
I think he's just going to be allocating
So
watches.
watch they were gonna drop anyway. The custom dial perpetual. Who didn't see that coming?
Crazy.
My exact words in the bungalow were Stevie Wonder could have saw that coming.
That's hilarious.
It was I was so upset the whole day because of this.
I was upset for a while too until I saw the other release.
The things that it
they did.
overshadowed that were actually fire.
Crazy stuff.
Yes.
The skeleton tourbillon in sand gold.
Pass on that for me.
That's fire.
It looks like steel.
No.
Yes.
So I'm gonna see this in person in a week,
And put it,
and I'll report back.
Put it next to any white metal that they have.
Sure.
They look the exact same.
I got to see this in person. I thought they did a great job with the codes. I like the new code Chronos.
Yes.
I thought those were fire.
White gold code's gone. What's that about?
Is it gone?
Yeah.
Discontinued.
According to Mark, it is.
That's crazy.
Wow.
There were some sleepers in there too. There was a 34 millimeter rose gold with
Pink
a
dial?
coral dial.
Sign me up.
That's his. Yeah.
Crazy.
Sign me up.
That was one of Ben's
Yo,
favorites.
in a heartbeat.
That was fire.
In a heartbeat. It was my favorite watch until I saw the gray dial blue rubber bezel offshore.
You really like that?
Yes. That watch bang.
What's with you in blue dials now?
No, it's not a blue dial, it's gray.
It's gray?
Yeah, the bezel's blue. Different. Whole different ballgame. I'd rock that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Black strap.
It's weird.
No, it's fire. It's the perfect beach watch.
Okay.
Beach, gym, on the motorcycle,
What's
the bike.
the case size?
43, I think.
It's crazy.
It's fine.
Yeah. What about you? What was your favorite?
You know, I didn't want to say I like the John Mayer, but I did like the
It's
John
okay if you like the John Mayer.
I did like the John Mayer. The other pieces were really, really great. You know, I think, you know, AP and AP fashion just like coming through with the bangers. You know, them actually standing a little bit more behind the code, which we seen a little bit of that when they were introducing the Star Wheel and bringing it back, right? Because I think it's very important to be able to diversify and like open it up, especially to focusing on women pieces.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, they had did that whole like collection there. So I think AP, you know, they definitely are on the right track. And I think they're working to service every like demographic and consumer in their line.
Yeah.
So I think from, you know, a broad perspective of it all, I love them all. My favorite, sadly, was the John Mayer.
Listen, I think it's fire. He's alone on an island. Listen,
I don't think I am.
I thought it was fire. I think
Yes.
it's a great piece.
Yes.
What I'm more curious about is, all right, so Francois just saw he left.
Yes.
The new CEO, I believe her name is pronounced Ilaria. I might be mispronouncing that. She comes in. You got, you know, Travis Scott on the exit with Francois.
Yes.
John Mayer on the entrance with Ilaria.
Yes.
What does this mean for the brand going forward? Right. These are two like huge releases.
Yes.
Really just a couple of months apart. So many people have already, you know, been concerned of the fact that like this is like a celebrity's brand.
Yes.
What does this mean going forward now that your creative conduit is a big time celebrity musician? Granted, also known as like a really big watch collector, could very well be seen as like the Paul Newman of like our era.
Yes.
I don't think that's
Paul
too
Newman.
far-fetched.
Paul Newman's famous for one watch.
And up until recently, John Mayer was, right? Like we had the John Mayer Daytona.
But he's known
And
for
now-
wearing and owning a lot of watches.
So, yes,
Newman was
one watch.
Daytona.
But I'm just talking about in terms of like his positioning.
Yes.
Yeah.
What does this mean potentially for the brand going forward? What does this also mean for the John Mayer Daytona, right? Which is like the cultural nickname for it.
Yeah.
But now AP is like, no, this is our
This
guy.
is the John Mayer.
This is the John
perpetual
Mayer.
that he designed with us.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you think that this John Mayer creative conduit thing is still a part of Francois' regime?
I would be willing to
think
bet
it's
that
too
it is.
It's for Alari.
I think that this was already like part of the plan, and this is
Yeah, I think she
Boom.
may have inherited that.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
And then, I mean, I think moving forward, we can expect more things like this, right?
Yeah.
Travis, John Mayer, who could be next?
Kevin Hart.
Maybe. I mean, that would make total sense. You got two musicians, get a big time comedian and
Yeah.
entertainer in there.
Yeah.
Give him a piece of the pie. Go back to an athlete, maybe.
Yeah.
Serena definitely deserves one.
I can see LeBron getting one.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron had one, Shaq had one. I don't.
Maybe Rick Ross.
I hope so. Green ceramic
Right?
from oh my God, Miami Hurricane colors.
Woo.
Orange seconds hand.
Crazy.
They gotta pay me consultation fee. There you go.
Facts.
The only thing I got a little beef too with this because they dropped a white camo ceramic watch and then said, "Oh, this isn't for sale. We're just showing you what we can do."
Right.
Waste.
Yeah.
And then I haven't heard as much outrage about a John Mayer Perpetual as I did Travis Scott.
Yes.
And Travis Scott is arguably, I think, most people would say
Cooler
was
watch.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
And they're both expensive as hell.
Yes.
Doesn't
they're
make
both
sense. Why?
over $200,000.
200 units for $180,000 for the John Mayer. 200.
I mean, they're essentially the same watch. They're just in different cases. It's the same combination.
Yeah.
And you have to think like, we know we have friends and people who have bought steel and titanium jumbo perpetuals from AP.
Right.
That's like the thing that they're known for. That's like everyone's like, if I'm gonna get a perpetual, it needs to be that.
Yeah.
They're $80,000. With the price increases right around 100
Yeah.
for both steel and titanium, that doesn't make sense for the materials. Why the hell are these watches that are not ultra thin?
Yeah.
One's on a strap, and the other one is just a hunk of platinum. Why is it $200,000?
Yeah.
I'm not understanding that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the pricing strategy is interesting.
You have to think, if they said they made 200 of each watch,
Sure.
200 John Mayers, 200 Travis Scott Perpetuals. Is there more than 200 titanium and steel jumbos floating out there?
Doubt it.
I'm hard pressed to think so.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think that this is clearly
Another conspiracy theory.
it's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a brand move, right? It's them trying to position themselves for the future. I do think it was smart on their behalf to snatch up John Mayer in this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think moving forward, there might be some cool stuff.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm curious what creative conduit means. To me, it just kind of sounds like a famous allocator.
Sure.
What were your thoughts?
So to that point, I like how you guys enjoy, John Mayer coming on as creative conduit, right? But I think it's the opposite.
Okay.
I think that this might have been a little too late. I think John Mayer should have been on board with this a long time ago. What I'm afraid of is now that Francois is out, will they still have that association with the culture that we know and love, right? Because they can turn around and use this and beat the dead horse, And in that, right, there's ways to do it right because you guys are AP, but then there's other ways to do it very wrong because you are AP. And excuse me, the way that people responded to the Travis watch, it almost was something that was in that space of doing wrong amongst the consumers. Sure. We loved it as purists and knowing what's going on, but I think for others, if they don't find a way to make it as raw and organic as it can be, I think it will get very gimmicky and clickbaity.
Sure.
Or oversaturated.
No, I understand that. And I think in many ways, this creative conduit role could also, it might be their way of hoping that he serves a purpose in helping them avoid that.
Yes.
How I would like to see them use John Mayer, as much as I like the piece, even though some people don't like it, I would have liked to see them use John Mayer in a way where they would introduce maybe a brand new timepiece.
Yes.
Bring back the millinery.
Something.
Make the millinery great again.
You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's in the cards. Maybe this is a start to get people sort of acquainted with John Mayer working with them in this fashion, which I totally get that strategy too.
Yeah.
Royal Oak first, right? And then maybe you come through with something later, a little more subtle.
Yes.
Right? Maybe something a little more dressy. Maybe something that's not a code. Maybe there's something that harkens on what they did in the past or something completely new.
Yes.
Because chances are, if you can do that with John Mayer, yes, it'll get attention, but maybe people will actually want to get it on their wrists.
Yeah, I see, but that's why I think they should have gone the opposite. Something that maybe they want to bring more attention to, maybe a whole new watch, maybe bring back something they haven't done in a long time.
Sure.
And have him kind of design it for
Yeah.
what a modern collector would
But
want.
let's be honest, if you get the opportunity to design your first Royal Oak, your first AP,
I'm not picking a Royal Oak.
I would pick a Royal Oak.
I'd go millinery. I love that case shape.
I feel you, but
Or
I'm doing
even,
Royal Oak.
If I did a Royal Oak to start, it would be like one of those crazy concept ones with like the frosted gold cases, with
Sure.
the integrated rubber straps. It wouldn't be a normal Royal Oak.
No, I feel you.
And like I think that's kind of where I think going perpetual Royal Oak was a cop out,
Yeah.
especially for John Mayer. Like he's proven to be such a collector of taste in terms of everything, of clothing, of watches, of shoes, guitars.
Yeah, he
I
even
think
collects Visvim.
I think the Royal Oak is a total cop out.
Yeah. Well,
I think having them on board is great.
sure.
But the Royal Oak as the John Mayer watch, I
Right.
think it's a little silly.
Yeah. Well, only time will tell. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I will be attending an event at AP House next week. And we're going to get to see some stuff in person, and I'll take some pictures and
Take
maybe.
some pictures of that white sand gold watch.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to take a lot of pictures of the John Mayer on my wrist too, just for
Okay.
you. And send it to you with little heart emojis. This has been another episode of Wrist Check Pod. You guys know where to find us if you want to listen. It's Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And if you want to watch, you can find us on YouTube and Spotify as well.
Yes.
We'll see you next week. Deuces.
Peace.